It's that time of the day. Yes, it's time for Talking Pints. Narinder Kaur, commentator, reality star, joins me. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Nigel.
To the programme.
Thank you.
Now, born in the West Midlands.
Yeah.
How did you find your way?
In life.
Onto a very early Big Brother, because suddenly this programme erupts on our screens.
I know.
And was it the second programme?
The second one, and I was like a struggling actress, wasn't getting any parts, especially in British theatre. And then I thought, you know what, let me do Big Brother and get a profile. And it didn't really work. It did give me a profile, a huge profile, but I wasn't really taken seriously. And no one knew where to quite put me. They didn't know where to put the Indian community. I was too westernised. Oh my God, she's wore a bikini. Oh my God, she drinks alcohol. She talks about sex. They were just completely couldn't take it. The British media and the British public thought, oh my God, this is an Indian woman who's actually got a mouth on her, who is so opinionated, and they didn't know where to put me.
So you sort of fell through the middle?
Well, yeah, drastically into this black hole.
What you just said is really interesting. Because you said to me, an Indian woman. So, you know, you're born in this country.
Yeah.
But do you regard yourself as Indian?
Punjabi. Let's not even go into the whole India and Punjab. So I regard myself as British Punjabi.
Right, but British first?
Yes, British first. And my point being, with Big Brother, it's kind of a reflection of what I feel goes on with British society. Because I was integrated. I am a modern, westernised Indian woman. But I still wasn't accepted. So when people go on about immigrants and they say, well, they don't integrate, oh, well, they don't do this. Well, I did, and I still wasn't accepted. My parents came over, my dad was invited over to do the jobs the British wouldn't do. He worked in steel foundries. And even though he came over, the men came first, and he worked double shifts, made a name for himself, got his own business, we were still called the P word all the time.
Yeah.
The family word. Yeah. I'm still called the P word. So I
bet that doesn't happen very often. I bet it doesn't happen
so much.
Still.
But
then people call each other all sorts of horrible names based on how big they are, fat they are, thin. I'm not defending it, but I'm just saying.
Yes, I know.
People do say horrible things.
But they do. But when we are integrating and when we are paying our taxes and we are working hard and we're still getting called the P word. So my point is, you guys are saying, well, you don't integrate. Well, you're not doing this. We do integrate, but we're not ever made to feel British. I don't feel...
I mean, fine, you feel that, and I can't put myself in your shoes. But when I see what's been happening in Leicester over the last month, and it's pretty clear that there are sections of the Hindu community and Muslim community who literally hate each other. I mean, that's real racism, isn't it?
That's not racism.
What is it then?
So racism is based on the colour of your skin.
Well,
that's more to do with religion. Racism is to do with the colour of your skin.
But it's to do with Pakistan, India, it's all of those things.
And it's a very small sector. I've lived in Leicester for 15, 16 years.
It didn't look good.
Well, it was a very small sector. I've lived there. I've got Muslim friends, I've got Hindu friends. This is not a reflection of what goes on in the Asian communities.
When you're in the Big Brother house, all these debates were happening in the Big Brother house. Psychologically, I mean, how long were you in there for? 4
weeks, which was a long time, Nigel, back in the day. It was only 9 weeks long then.
I mean, psychologically, what's it like being stuck in there for 4?
It would be like being stuck in here, me and you stuck together 24/7. And even though we're starting off, oh, hi, Nigel, we're getting on, having a drink.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, we'd hate each other. And the cameras are watching every move. So it's basically like just being stuck here.
Did you feel at the end of it all that I mean, obviously you paid to do it, but...
We weren't paid to do it.
You weren't paid?
No. We got some kind of European standard fee of, like, I think it was £10 a week or something. That was it.
Wow. But
we were not paid.
You did it for profile.
Yes.
Afterwards.
Disaster.
Did you feel damaged by it?
Yes. And, you know, the mental aspect...
It's quite an abusive programme, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say reality TV, even though, look, Big Brother fans are brilliant. They're very supportive. I think what Big Brother does in terms of reality TV, it is a reflection of society, because we don't accept... What the British public decide with Big Brother is they don't accept nastiness, meanness, racism, misogyny, and the British public vote. So it's actually a great way of seeing the British public and what they like and what they don't like. And overall, they like niceness. But when you're a contestant on there and you come out, it's like lines to the den. It is the British press
with
were
the media. Yeah.
The media were ruthless. They were ruthless with me. They, you know, I was called fat. I was called ugly. I was called, you know, they'd go to the temples and say, ban her. She wore a bikini, and you know, it was horrible, especially when you've got no experience of it. I mean, I don't know how when you get trolled, how do you put up with it?
I just ignore it. Well, in fact, I tell you what, I
ignore
it and go for a drink. I mean, that's what no, I mean, look, the whole world. I guess the difference is...
What do you think of reality TV? Would you do Big Brother?
No.
Wouldn't you?
No, I really wouldn't. I was offered Big Brother several times. I was offered The Jungle several times.
Oh, my God, why don't you do it?
Do you know, I was actually offered life-changing money at a time when I've been in politics 20 years. I really did need money. Two reasons, really. One, I just felt there was an element of humiliation in the whole thing. And two, I always thought, you never know in politics. I came back once, you know, did the Brexit. I came back with the Brexit Party. And I'm not saying I will come back in the party, but who knows what the future holds.
Yeah.
And I think George Galloway, you know, doing reality TV.
Yes, do you remember the cat?
Yeah, and
yes, and you watched that.
And I thought, well, if I ever got myself into that position, I'd be cutting off the prospect of a political career. So I don't think you can do reality TV
and have a political career.
And be in frontline politics.
Nigel, can I ask you a question for the people at home who follow me? When you talk about Brexit and immigration and they say you're racist, are you racist?
Well, we tried to stop excessive numbers of very white people coming into Britain. And that's the point of it. He said the immigration debate around Europe was about white people. It was about an open door.
But you know, racists who voted it didn't think it was white people.
Well, I'm sure plenty of racists voted Remain as well. You know, I mean, I'm sure plenty of murderers voted Remain as well, as they did vote Brexit. You know, there's all things on all sides. The point about the immigration argument was we opened the doors unconditionally. We lowered people's wages. We made it harder for their kids to get into schools.
No, you've got 2 million people looking for jobs now. The British people don't do the jobs. The same argument when my parents came is the same argument now.
The British population has risen by 10 million since the year 2000.
But the economy's still there.
That's right.
And we've got job shortages because there's not enough.
What we've done, well, actually, there were some other reasons too. But what we've done through uncontrolled immigration is we've lowered UK productivity. We haven't increased. GDP goes up. Gross domestic product, but gross domestic product per head doesn't go up. So the argument about immigration was we should control it and do it properly. And it was a very important argument in the Brexit campaign. It wasn't the only argument, but it was an important argument.
But you appealed to racists, and I feel that the racism, it was really stirred up. I'm not saying you are.
You are being quite derogatory about British people, actually, by saying that.
But then you're being derogatory to immigrants who want to come here. Even the ones that you're saying are illegal, they want to work. Why not get them here to work?
The Albanians that crossed the English Channel this morning, okay?
Yes.
About 150 Albanians this morning, I think, crossed. They want to come and join criminality in Britain and make.
You don't know that for a fact. That's suspected.
Well, I know what Border Force said last Saturday. They said that we are now opening the door to people.
You're stirring up a pot here, Nigel.
Do you want violent criminals living in your street?
So when you let the Ukrainians in, they could be violent criminals. No checks are made. And when Indians or Ukrainians have been invited over freely.
When Ukrainians come into the country, they have passports. Okay,
Not recently.
We are able in most cases to check who people are. When you see somebody, as I've seen them, in the English Channel, throwing their mobile phone and their passport into the sea, so we can't check who they are, it raises suspicions. So I think the argument is there is an overwhelming...
Of course there's going to be some criminals. If you close the borders, doesn't mean we're never going to have a murder or crime going on in Britain.
You're not going to close the borders. You're going to control who comes in. So illegal immigration makes people really angry. Legal immigration needs to be controlled in terms of numbers. And I think what we've done...
We take the least amount in. You've heard that argument. We take the least. Britain takes the least amount in.
It's the biggest load of rubbish you've ever heard in your life.
Really?
We opened the door. In the last 2 years, we've been generous to Ukraine, generous to Afghanistan, Hong Kong, incredibly generous towards. So we are, historically, of all European countries, the most generous. But we have to do it right, and we have to do it properly.
When you said do it right, you just want to get people in to do the job, so that's kind of exploiting people.
No, I want to make sure that the people that come in, we know who they are, we can check their
You
background.
always know that. You never did check with Ukraine. You didn't check with Hong Kong, and you didn't check with the Indians.
Hong Kong's very easy to check. Very easy to check.
But the Indians that came over in my dad's age and this age, you can't really check who's a criminal. You can't make those checks.
I think in those days it would have been much more difficult. In a modern digitised age, it's actually quite easy. So the immigration argument it's a hot political argument. It's always been a hot political argument. It will always be a hot political argument in every Western country. And what we were saying with Brexit, amongst other things, was we want to have some control over this.
But you didn't get it.
Well,
We didn't get it.
Well, ironically, with Boris Johnson as Prime Minister, he didn't even attempt to give it to us. And that was a shame. That was a real shame. But you know what? Actually, when you compare this country to all the other countries in Europe, we are the most relaxed, the most tolerant, and incredibly...
But not the most welcoming.
And incredibly...
How do you make people feel?
Goodness gracious
I have never felt welcomed. My dad was never made to feel welcome.
Go and live in France. Go and live in other European countries, and you would really find what not being welcome is. We are by far
I do
the most
feel...
tolerant.
My mum always used to say, my parents were big royalists. If they let you build your temples in their country, they're welcoming. You have let us build our temples.
Look, we are very welcoming.
Which is great, yes? However...
You and I will discuss this again.
Let's talk about colonisation.
When there's a new... Oh, yes.
Can we talk about that?
And the pride we should have in the British Empire. Absolutely.
No!
I'm going to get you back on Talking Pints again soon.
I hope you do.
Thank you.